If you're not losing your belly fat or you're in a plateau, you may be making the same mistake about 85% of people make on your weight loss journey. But in today's video, I'm going to let you know exactly what to do to fix it. Hello and good morning and welcome back to my channel. I'm Naturally Ray, or you can just call me Ray. Now, if you know you watch my videos back to back and have not subscribed, why not? Make sure you subscribe and hit your notification bell so you don't miss when I upload future vlogs and videos where I talk about health, fitness and lifestyle. So the main underlying reason as to why you may not be losing your belly fat is that you're not in a consistent calorie deficit. And I know you may not want to really hear this, but listen carefully, because there are some key points that a lot of persons don't talk about in their videos, but one of these points may actually be what you really need to hear so that you can see progress. Now here's the thing, when it comes to weight loss, a lot of us totally underestimate our calorie deficit, and unknowingly we actually overeat, and sometimes we actually may be in a calorie deficit, but the deficit is so small that we don't see a lot of progress, or even if we do see progress, it is at a very slow pace and slow rate. Now if you find yourself saying, but I eat good throughout the week, or I eat good throughout the day, I don't eat any bad foods, you may be right for some of the days. Maybe Monday to Friday you stick with your calorie deficit, where you are actually in a calorie deficit, but then when the weekend rolls around and Saturday comes, you decide, well, I'm going out for brunch, and you have larger portions of meals, you have some extra drinks, and of course you want to have some sweet treats. Sunday comes the next day and you decide, you know what, let me go out for dinner, let me enjoy some time with my friends. Again, you eat larger portions of food, you eat treats and eat cheat meals. And I'm putting cheat meals in air quotes because really and truly, I don't like to say cheat meals, I like to say treat meals, but it's just a word. If it is that, it doesn't bother you to say cheat or cheat or treat, do whichever one you want. But I find sometimes with the word cheat meals, there's this negative connotation to it. There really isn't a positive association with it. Either way, basically these meals actually may be the real cause as to why you're not in a calorie deficit. What some people like to use, I say this as well, I follow the 80-20 rule, where 80% of the times I try my best to eat healthy foods, whole unprocessed foods, and then 20% I have my treat meals. But you may not be balancing things properly. So let me give you all an example. It's recommended to lose about, say, 1 to 2 pounds of fat per week. That is what most persons will consider being sustainable. Now of course, sometimes when you're at the beginning of your weight loss journey and you have a lot of excess body fat, sometimes you tend to lose a lot more weight in the beginning. A lot of that tends to be water weight anyway, so we're not really counting that, but just as something that is sustainable, 1 to 2 pounds of fat loss per week is recommended. Now if you're in a calorie deficit of 500 every day, it means that that's 3,500 calories per week, which will actually help you to lose that 1 pound of fat at the end of every week. But if it is that you decide to have this balanced lifestyle where Monday to Friday you're doing pretty well, eating healthy foods, whole unprocessed foods, and you indulge on the weekends, it's very easy to be in a surplus on the weekends and cancel out all of your progress. So one meal of maybe an extra 1,000 calories on a Saturday or extra 1,000 calories on a Sunday, that's 2,500 compared to 2,000. You're technically in a 500 calorie deficit, but really and truly that's less than 100 calories of deficit every day. You're not going to see a result. So you really have to dial in and try your best to calculate how much calories you actually burn. A lot of persons use the TDEE, the total daily energy expenditure calculator. Some persons talk about that it can be a little inaccurate. It has worked well for a lot of persons. So what I would recommend is work out how much calories you burn on a day-to-day basis, then you do your deficit from there. If you find that after a couple of weeks it's not really helping, then you may want to consider getting a more accurate calculator, but for the most part that should at least be useful when it is you're just starting off your weight loss journey. Now, another thing that may be hindering your weight loss and your fat loss progress is that the calorie deficit that you think you have, you don't have because of the tools that you're using. And tools, I mean your measuring cups or your measuring spoons, and these are actually more accurate than eyeballing, but you may have to consider that when it is you're maybe using an app like my Fitness Pal app, that it has been a game changer for me. I downloaded it a couple months ago. I was very apprehensive to do it, but I realized that me trying to eyeball my food was not working out, and that's why I wasn't in a calorie deficit. Now, if you are triggered by counting calories or you have maybe disordered eating, you may not want to consider doing this. But for me right now, I actually don't use the app as much because I just figured out maybe like the top 3-4 things that I like to have for breakfast, lunch and dinner, and because I constantly eat those, you know, top 4-5 things, I have a general idea now as to how much I should be eating. And I don't really use the app as much, but I would say if you know you're not seeing progress, get into tracking. If it is that you're not measuring it and you don't track it, it means that you cannot improve it, and it may be the reason why you're not seeing your results. Now, instead of using the measuring cups or maybe the measuring spoons, you may have to consider using a food scale. I have my food scale. I haven't actually used it in a while because, like I mentioned, I have a pretty good gauge as to what and how much I should be consuming for my breakfast, lunch, dinner and snack, and that has been working really great for me. Now, for some people this may seem a little extreme and they may not want to be this granular, but if it is that you're on your last 10-15 to 20 pounds to getting to your ideal goal weight, then you may have to consider being a little more aware of monitoring how much you put into your body. And of course, I will talk about exercise soon because that is a key. Even though nutrition is the main thing, exercise can also help as well. Now, one of the other major reasons as to why you may not be losing your belly fat is because of your stress levels. Now, I know people don't like mentioning this. I know people struggle to monitor their stress, or I should say reduce their stress, but these stresses come from so many different areas. It could be from a lack of sleep. I know, well, let me talk for myself. This is an area where I do struggle to get my recommended 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Sometimes it might be 6, sometimes it's borderline 7, and I kid you not, when it is I wake up in the morning from not having a good night's sleep, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I tend to have a lot of cravings that day. More than likely my cortisol levels are increased, my hunger hormones, ghrelin is more than likely increased, and in cases like that, sometimes I don't even want to eat like the healthy foods. I may want to focus on more ultra processed foods where it's high in calories, high in salt, high in sugar, and it's not good for you. And that is sometimes one of the things that will throw you off with losing weight and seeing your progress. Another stressor on your body is just your emotional stress. There are so many things that may be happening around you, different experiences, circumstances. Some of it may be out of your control, but as much as possible, really try to reduce the stress, because again, if your cortisol levels increases, it causes you to crave foods that tend not to be the healthiest, and of course you have a higher chance of eating things that will take you out of your calorie deficit and hence hold on to more of that excess belly fat. And a third stress on your body is actually doing diets that are very restrictive. If it is that you decide on a particular day you're going to eat a little bit of calories, at the end of the day you might be ravenous, really hungry, and then you overindulge, and of course that is just going to defeat the whole purpose of being in a calorie deficit. And this is the same thing like I mentioned before with your diet where on Monday to Friday you're supposedly good with your diet, but you overindulge on the weekends. Try your best not to overindulge. Try your best not to restrict your diet. Try your best. I always talk about having a diet I don't even use the word diet, I just say lifestyle. Try your best to have a healthy lifestyle of not being restrictive and do things that are sustainable and realistic, because remember, this weight loss is a journey. It's something that you have to do for a lifetime. Now, another major reason as to why you may not be losing your belly fat is that you're doing a lot of intensive and aggressive exercise. Now, if you find yourself doing a lot of cardio and you're sweating a lot, now listen, cardio is very important, is very beneficial for your overall health, for your cardiovascular health, but it's actually not a really good way of losing belly fat. As a matter of fact, it will cause you to maybe lose a lot more muscle than you think, and that in turn is going to affect your metabolism, which in turn will prevent you from losing the belly fat that you want. What you want to focus on is more strength training and resistance training, where you're building muscle, your metabolism is being increased, and even when you're not exercising, after you strength train, your basal metabolic rate is increased and you're actually burning those calories even when you are at rest. So try your best not to over exercise. A great thing to do is to pair your strength training with increasing your step count, so increasing your NEAT, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Recently I finished my 30-day challenge where I did these non-negotiables for 30 days of increasing my step count, eating healthy food, strength training, drinking water. Look out for that video. Make sure you subscribe, because that video I'll be uploading next so you can see my results. I had such excellent results from my 30-day challenge. I will link the video for you so you can see the previous video. I talked about 6 easy ways for you to be in a calorie deficit. That will actually be a great video for you to watch after this one. But again, it's really helpful to increase your step count, because that really helps you to lose a lot of belly fat. Now, you don't have to use the arbitrary 10,000 steps. It's a good number to aim at, but really and truly a lot of us can benefit from just having 8,000 to 9,000 steps. Look out for that video next, because I'm gonna give you some really good tips as to how to get to 8,000, 9,000, even 10,000 steps really easily. But what I want you to focus on is just being consistent with a calorie deficit, a real calorie deficit, being consistent with your workouts, whether it's at home or whether it's at the gym. And please try not to use exercise as a way to earn your food or burn your food. A lot of persons are unaware that some of those watches that track your steps and some of those wearables or even those machines at the gym, they way overestimate how much calories that you burn. So please don't get into the habit of saying, well, I burn 350 calories a day from doing a particular exercise on a machine, or you track it on your watch and then you eat back those calories. You may actually be putting yourself into a surplus. So that's something to be very mindful of as well. But what I want you to focus on is making sure that you're consistently in a calorie deficit and being consistent with your specific workouts and a particular program. And if it is that after a couple of weeks you're really not seeing any type of progress, you may have to make adjustments in maybe one or both. I would say maybe try to decrease your calories a little bit. No, you don't want it to be so low where you end up eating maybe like 1,000 calories a day. You don't want to get it that low, because that will really interfere with your metabolism, and then you're definitely not going to lose belly fat. As a matter of fact, if you know right now you're not eating a lot of calories, your calorie amount, your daily calorie intake is very low, you may have to consider doing reverse dieting, where you slowly start to eat a little more calories every single day. You may have to do that maybe for a couple of months. I know you don't want to hear that, but you may have to consider reverse dieting and making sure that your metabolism gets a bit of a reset, for want of a better word. I know this weight loss journey and this fat loss journey and getting fit may be a little challenging, but sometimes you just need to make little tweaks here and there for you to actually see the results that you want. I really hope that the tips in this video were helpful. If they were, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you subscribe, turn on your notification bell so you don't miss when I upload future videos, and as always, try your best to become the healthiest version of yourselves. Bye guys.